And now, Rob Charles.
Broadcasting right from the heart of Chorley is Real Local Radio for the real local people of Chorley. It's 102.8, it's Chorley FM. You've just heard the brand new one from Sia and Never Give Up here on 102.8 Chorley FM. So I've got to welcome into the studio, as I can only say, is a legend from Chorley himself, Mr. Rob Charles. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm not so bad, mate. So how do you like in our little studio here?
It's like being in Barbados, to be honest. The weather.
It's definitely the kind of studio you need to have your Bermuda shorts on.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
You come in from the outside and it's like... It's like getting off the plane, is it? You've been on a nice condition plane, and then suddenly you get out the door, you're like, oh my, crying out loud.
This must be the warmest place in Chorley. It's got to be.
It's got to be. I must admit, when I walked in this morning at 7 o'clock, I was like, it's going to be a warm day. I can feel it already.
It's like being in Brown's Chippy. It's that hot.
So how you doing, mate?
I'm doing fine, yes. It's nice to come down and have a look. I've never been here before.
You've never been to Chorley FM before?
No, never been in. No.
So let's get into the interview.
Okay.
Basically, so we're going to talk about when you started in radio. How long ago was that?
That would have been about 30 years ago. Probably 34 years ago. Where are we now? 2017. So yeah, probably about 34 years ago.
34 years ago. And I think
that was in Hospital Radio.
Hospital Radio?
Started off in Hospital Radio at Wythenshawe. And then from there, I worked for a couple of... pirate radio stations.
It's okay, you can mention it because obviously they're not around anymore.
They're not around anymore. One station was called KFM, which was based in Stockport, and then went all over Manchester, which was a successful pirate radio station because the person that actually set that up, a fellow by the name of Charles Turner, went on to work with the government on setting up incremental radio stations. So it's the small radio stations other than the local massive local radio stations. So he set up incremental radio stations on behalf of the government. So it was quite successful. And then it was legalised, and then I worked for them. Previous to that, though, I'd worked for Radio Caroline, not in the 60s, but it was in the 80s.
Yep.
Ronan O'Reilly was the fellow that set all that up. Ronan O'Reilly was the man who set up Radio Caroline and gave jobs to Tony Blackburn and... certain other people by the name of Kenny Everett was one of them, I think. Yeah.
Kenny Everett?
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, I've actually been sent a question about that. What was it like working on Radio Caroline with Robin Ross on board around the same time of 1983?
83. I wasn't there in 83.
Oh, you wasn't there?
No, I was there 86. Robin Ross was there before me. I think Robin Ross came back when it was originally... it sunk in about 1980. The ship had sunk. 1983 it came back. Robin was back on then, and I didn't join until about 86. It was January 86. It was January the 2nd. I remember it because I got the call on New Year's Day. Would you like to come down? So we had to go down to, I think it was Felixstowe, and then travel out on a tender over to Dunkirk in France.
Yep.
And then from then we travelled back out again to the ship, which is a cold day.
I can bet. You used to work at a radio station in Preston, and I'm going to ask you about this because I remember this. This was a good few years ago. You used to work for a breakfast show presenter called Kev Seed.
Oh, yes.
And Kev Seed actually hijacked one of your shows as an April Fool's joke. Now, you're live broadcasting on air, thinking everything was going out hunky-dory.
Yeah.
And, of course, he was actually taking the mickey out of you without you even realising. And when you actually found out about that, how did you feel?
Well, it worked out that I was on the air in the main studio, and there was a problem or something with the studio. So any chance you could actually go to Studio 3? So I went to Studio 3, we swapped over, and in Studio 3 I'm broadcasting out. But in the meantime, Studio 1, which I thought wasn't live, was live. Kev C was on there, and they were taking the feed from Studio 3, which is the output, and I was presumed I was going out live, but he had control of everything. So he was saying things like, next person you hear will be somebody that works upstairs in our sales department, and she's going to win a competition, but she's going to really try and get off with Rob Charles. So she came on the air, and I was talking to her, saying, you've won a meal on air. I said, oh, can I take you? And I'm thinking, what am I going to say?
I remember all this.
People talk about it to this day. People still come up to me and say, yeah, exactly what you say.
Yeah.
I remember that time when Kev Seed wound you up, April Fool's Day. But they also did a few years later. Do you remember the QE2 coming to Preston Docks?
Yes.
Yes. And I was supposed to be doing the road show from there. So we had all these people turn up. I wasn't there. I was still at home. But all these people turned up. Preston Docks, expecting Queen Mary, because we'd advertised it. Queen Mary's going to be here. And April Fool's, I think, was on the Monday. I think it might have been a bank holiday Monday for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it was
It probably was.
Due to Easter, but and that was another one. So it's like these things that are still in people's minds from years ago. That was in the 94, as I say.
And of course, but in your own personal opinion, in all the time you've been in radio, what is one of the most things what's ever happened to you, such as that prank being played by KFC? What's the most thing whatever actually stands out to you? Is there anything else what actually topples that?
I was a great fan of the Stranglers. I loved the Stranglers growing up, and Stranglers music was everything to me. I loved it. A bit of a punk. And then I got to interview Hugh Cornwall, but for some unknown reason, I kept calling him Hugh Grant. I don't know why, and he wasn't best pleased about it. Another one I interviewed as well was Lisa Stansfield, and Lisa Stansfield had this Gucci black bag, and there was a glass of water. She wanted a glass of water at the side of the table, so the glass of water was there. Finished the interview, walking past to say thank you very much and give her a kiss, hit the glass of water, went straight over her bag. She wasn't best pleased about that neither. But it's only water. I mean, it could have been something that stained the bag, but no,
Oh, I'd love to have seen that, I'll be honest with you.
But there's a few. I mean, I used to work with Caroline Aherne. We used to work for a radio station, KFM, when it was legalised. We worked for a radio station there. There was Craig Cash, Caroline Aherne, John Ronston, Terry Christian. Caroline used to do a spot on my programme called Who's Mother? So she used to do impressions of people. And she'd come on and do people like, oh, yes, you had to guess who it was. Oh, yes, he never washes his hair. He's always untidy and very, very dirty. And then the listener then had to guess who the person was. And it was Bob Geldof. His mum. So she was great, yeah.
Oh, wow, no way.
And, it's I need to write a book. Somebody said, you need to write a book of all your problems that have gone on and all your memories from radio.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Talking of radio as well, in all the years you've been obviously being a radio presenter, obviously you've interviewed quite a few famous people in the past. Who was the most one what made you starstruck a little bit?
It probably was the Hugh Cornwall.
The Hugh Cornwall.
The Hugh Cornwall. I mean, I've interviewed quite a few people, as you say, but he was the one that stuck out. That I was a fan of him. Yeah, and it was just like my childhood hero. And he met him, it's like that, oh no, a bit frightened.
So it's a little bit hard work trying to interview him without feeling, oh, I'm going to mess this up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've interviewed, as you say, famous people that, Lisa Stansfield's quite famous, depends on who you are, but that's the one that stands out most. Yeah.
Stands out.
Rob Charles.